श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। हरि ओम। तपोवन उवाच। The happiness that falls to the share of him who owns nothing, who knows the self, and is rich in dispassion, is beyond the reach of the king of the Devas or the Lord of Brahmaloka himself. Contents Aradhana Day Message. Puja Swami Swarupananda. The journey from imperfection to perfection. Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji. Living Vedanta 1 Swami Tejomayananda. Gita Panchamrit. 5 timeless principles for modern leader. पूज्य स्वामी स्वरूपानंद जी. भक्त जन प्रियम चिन्मयानंदम. स्वामी सिद्धानंदा. चिन्मय अमृत महोत्सव में जून. When he came to meet us again, ब्रह्मचारी सुधीर चेतना. चिन्मय अमृत यात्रा अप्रैल में. मिशन न्यूज इटिनररी. चिन्मय लहरी. प्रेयर. ओम भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. I meditate on the divine light of that Sun, the Supreme Truth, who illumines the three worlds, the earth, the heavens, and the interspace, who is most adorable, effulgent, and the divine powers of the divine powers. May that Sun illumine our intellect. Rigveda Mandal 3.62.10. Chinmay Lahari. It is not how much one reads, but how much one understands, reflects on, and meditates upon, that assures success. It is the quality, intensity, sincerity, devotion, understanding, and enthusiasm of heart with which one does the sadhana that will determine the true heights to which the student can rise in his self-mastery. As long as our heart is loaded with its own base urges, motives, plans, and schemes, that self-shackled heart cannot take off from its fields of sorrows and restlessness into the brilliant cloudless sky of unavoidable. As the vehicle gathers speed, the runway stretch slips by, and one rises up from one's body concept into the sublime experience. At first, it must wing alone the lower heights of feelings. Then the meditator climbs into the cloudy altitudes of intellectual ideas, and soon it can soar high into the world of cloudless poise, sublime beauty, and brilliant self-mastery. Moral and spiritual joys and balance in ordinary life can come only to those who can thus explore and return from these rejuvenating secret realms within. May your eyes be on the equality of your life, be on the quality of your life. Success is sure for the sincere. अहमेव जगत्सर्वम् अहमेव परं पदम् एतज्ज्ञानं यतो भूयात् तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम्. I salute the Guru who gave me the knowledge that I am this entire world and that I am the supreme reality. Guru Gita 3.87. The Divine Gardener. A garden in bloom is a delightful sight. Every flower, every leaf, and every fragrance bears the touch of the gardener's loving care. So it is with the Guru. Puja Gurudev beautifully explained, no gardener can make even one flower. The flower must come from the plant. The gardener can shake up the roots a little, feed them properly, water them, protect them from animals. In the same way, the textbooks, the masters, and the rishis are all gardeners. The flowers of knowledge must come from you. In the light of knowledge, all doubts end. The Guru awakens the highest possibilities within us. He prepares the soil of our hearts, waters with spiritual knowledge, uproots the weeds of ego, and nourishes us with love. Puja Gurudev embodied this vision during a Jnana Yajna in Belgaum. After lunch each day, he would wash his hands beside a tiny jasmine plant and gently whisper, "Grow, little one, grow." By the end of the yajna, the plant had put forth a dozen glossy new leaves. Perhaps he was speaking not only to the jasmine. Though he is no longer physically with us, Puja Gurudev has never ceased tending to the vast garden of the Chinmay family. Through his teachings, through the Guru Parampara, through each and every activity of the mission, his loving presence continues to inspire millions of hearts. Let us close our eyes in silence, listen to his gentle whisper, "Grow, little one, grow." Rooted in sadhana, nourished by seva, and illuminated by knowledge, may we grow and blossom, spreading the fragrance of love and joy wherever we are. For our divine gardener has never left us. His infinite grace continues to guide and bless us moment from moment. Aradhana Day message. Hari Om. On this sacred Chinmay Aradhana Day, we bow in reverence to the holy feet of our beloved Puja Gurudev. True Aradhana is worship expressed through devoted action that flows into selfless service. The highest offering is to live the Guru's teachings daily and carry forward his vision with sincerity and love. It is deeply heartening that the Chinmay Amrit Mahotsav and Amrit Yatra, commemorating 75 glorious years of the Chinmay movement, have become a grand collective aradhana by the global Chinmay family. Across the world, Hanuman Chalisa, chanting and havans, Satsangs, seva projects, Gita chanting programs, youth initiatives, and cultural gatherings are blossoming as expression of devotion and gratitude to the Master who awakened millions to the knowledge of the Self. In this spirit, the Gita Panchamrit has emerged as a very special offering to the of the Mahotsav. I urge all of you to learn, chant, live, and above all, share these five powerful verses so that every Bharatiya may imbibe and spread the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Every lamp lit, every verse chanted, every act of service performed, and every heart touched through these celebrations becomes a flower in this worldwide garland of Aradhana to Puja Gurudev. With His grace, these celebrations will culminate in the Chinmay Amrit Mahotsav Global Sammelan in Delhi from October 23 to 25. I look forward to meeting the entire Chinmay family there for this momentous gathering. May we continue to make our lives as Aradhana at Gurudev's feet by living his message. Swami Swarupananda. Quotations by Param Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. The core of meditation involves letting go each time we find we have become dependent or addicted. Have the attitude I can let go and still be complete. Visions in meditation are enjoyable, no doubt, but they are obstacles. Reject them and go forward. Be steady with firm faith. Continue. Freshness is the reviving elixir for our day to day meditation. Be fresh, not bogged down with a binding routine. Sincerely pursue the path, and Chinmay promises for thee a pleasant journey to the eternal abode, where alone exist permanent joy and perfect peace. The one in sleep is drowned in the darkness of ignorance. The one in samadhi is in the sunshine of knowledge. Forget time means past and live fully that moment of inward peace in meditation. Meditation is the unavoidable staple of life, the only nourishment that can feed us with joy and satisfaction in our sorrowful days of spiritual famine and intellectual drought. The physical, mental, intellectual, and spiritual personalities must all be blended in one harmonious whole. Meditation is the technique of achieving this harmony. Meditation, by its own mysterious logic, generates in us a powerful energy meant for the mind is for you to remain as though apart from the mind and with a critical eye watch its meaningless somersaults. There can be no mistake in meditation. Regularly practice to get yourself in the lap of meditation, and thereafter it will guide you, it will take charge of you. A mind surcharged with its own vitality alone can help you to soar during meditation. The more we discover the scientific conclusions of the great rishis, the more we shall learn to meditate. As the seeker develops in meditation, he gains more and more perfection, more and more in his ethical and moral perfection, giving a greater amount of intellectual poise and mental peace. We are in the pursuit of real and endless happiness. Any sacrifice can be but a very small payment indeed for such a precious possession. Appreciating the mind as all silence I am is meditation. Meditation becomes a true education, a secret preparation of ourselves to face the world of unsteady circumstances and evanescent glories. With every disturbance, the Lord is sending you a reason for meditation. Meditation demands an individual who is not only ethical and moral, but also one who knows how to keep their body and posture completely relaxed. By love, devotion, and service to the Guru, the integration of the mind becomes full, and with such a mind, we can fly high into the meditation. Meditation is an attempt to consciously withdraw our identifications with the body and abide ourselves in consciousness. Remain silent and steady. Expect God experience in all its infinite fullness. Here ends all self effort. There you can but wait in faith, and He reveals. Let us meditate and discover for ourselves its benefits and blessings, and in this we must help ourselves. No one else can ever help us. We have unlimited powers which unfortunately we have not learned to tap and make use of. It is a question of rediscovering ourselves. Divine grace is invoked by our honest and sincere attempts at meditation. When our life is focused towards the higher, in a very short time, experiences of the higher flood the soul. Meditation is a state of utter balance within and total oblivion to the outer happenings. At every moment, to watch your mind and to regulate the traffic of thoughts in it. This is complementary meditation. Meditate, 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 and meditate. This is the only path, the only true path to perfection. Over punishing the mind, over punishing the mind will make the mind, though controlled, ineffectual and impotent, and such a dead mind is useless for higher meditation. The path of meditation takes you face to face to the reality. God realization alone is the sole and final goal. Through Swadharma and Sadachar, eliminate Rajas and Tamas, make your mind sattvic, and through contemplation awake. Let us ever meet in meditation. Distances then cannot part us, nor time stale such contacts in meditation at His sacred feet. Prayer, regular and ardent, ending with deep and steady meditation alone, can unfold enthusiasm, patience, and the inner sharpness to detect and avoid the false tones in thought, word, and deed. We can feel more confident in our meditation activities only uh, meditation activities only when we can fully understand the nature of the mind and its functions. To know the enemy is to forestall him. Okay. Now I come to articles. The journey from imperfection to perfection. Param Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. This talk has been transcribed and edited from a rare series of discourses in chapter 9 on Bhagavad Gita delivered by Pujya Gurudev in Siddhabadi, India, Bharat in 1986. This can be viewed on Chinmay channel. The Lord's assurance, even those who are spiritually impeded by their past tendencies can attain the highest through wholehearted devotion. Shri Krishna now turns our attention to those who are already endowed with noble qualities and greater inner preparedness. If divine realization is possible, even for the most disadvantaged, how much more natural and effortless must it be for those whose minds are pure, disciplined, and devoted? The highest awaits all. Bhagavan declares, किं पुनर्ब्रह्मणा पुण्या भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकमिमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम्. What then to speak about kings and sages with meritorious deeds? Therefore, having come to this transient and joyless world, engage in devotion unto me. Those who possess sattvic vasanas and are born with inherent tendencies to contemplate and meditate are considered to be born blessed. Kim punar brahmana punya. Similarly, dynamic individuals whose motive force is righteousness are the great kingly sages. Bhakta Rajarshayas Tatha. These kings lived honorable lives, administered their kingdoms, and experienced all the sense gratifications that wealth and power could offer, yet finding them hollow and ultimately unsatisfying. They turned away from worldly pursuits, retired into contemplation, and attained the highest. Such realized rulers are called Rajarshis, a Raja who became a Rishi. Others, born with a natural inclination for study and reflection, devoted themselves to the Vedas from an early age, engaging in various forms of worship. They purified their minds and entered deep contemplation. Through this process, they realized the truth and attained the status of Brahmarshis, a Brahman who became a Rishi. Thus, the Gita points to two broad paths of preparedness, one through a life of action purified by righteousness, and the other through a life of study Worship and contemplation both culminate in the same supreme realization. Both the Brahmanas who becomes a Rishi and the Raja who rises to the status of a Rishi embody noble virtues, noble vasanas, and noble births. What more can we say about them? Even those who are defectively born can straighten themselves and reach the highest. How much more can be said of those who have come into this world with spiritual tendencies, thirsting to know the highest? If they turn their attention towards Him, there is no question of failure. It is guaranteed that they will reach the highest. Therefore, whether you have come here carrying a bundle of past sins or a bundle of past merits, it does not matter. Whether you are a debtor or a creditor, you need not take any of it into account. Having come here, turn towards Him. Those who are spiritually debilitated may find it more difficult to turn towards Him. Yet, if they do so slowly and steadily, they gather momentum in contemplation and reach the highest state through the strength born of yoga. Yoga balena chaiva. A new vitality, a new inner strength comes as one turns towards the Lord. Old negative vasanas gradually get destroyed, while spiritual vasanas grow stronger and stronger. Soon enough, Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma. He quickly becomes more and more sattvic, and he too can rise to the highest. The important question: how do you get out? Many people live for 30 or 40 years without a sense of purpose, feeling empty and directionless. They finally reach a point where they want to ask, what is the purpose of life? Secretly, they hope there is no answer. That is why all of you should memorize the second line of this verse by heart. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasva mam. Having reached, obtained this impermanent and joyless world, do worship me devoutly. Everyone in the world today asks the same question: what is the purpose of life? Make money? People answer, I have made it. Raise children? I have done that. Enjoy music and dance? I am tired of them. Gain power and position? I have achieved that too. Now tell me, what is the purpose of life? When they ask, they are often not expecting an answer. They simply want to see you as desperate and confused as they are. At that moment, smilingly quote, Anityamasukham lokam imam prapya bhajasva mam. The moment you quote it, they will sit down and ask, you know Sanskrit too? Yes, not much, but sufficient for my purposes. Immediately, a certain faith arises in them. I never thought you were a spiritual person. The spiritual qualities I possess, I do not flaunt. You reply, I do not go around advertising how great a yogi I am. The fact is, you have come to the right person. The Lord has brought you here. This sort of conversation cools them down, allowing you to declare once again, Anityamasukham lokam imam prapya bhajasva mam. Having reached the world of BMI, BFT, and OET, body, mind, intellect, perceiver, feeler, thinker, and objects, emotions, thoughts, where you find yourself at this moment, do not worry about how you got here or how you tumbled into it. That is not of much consequence. Having reached here, the question now is how do you get out? Think, suppose you slipped and fell into an old, dilapidated, neglected well in total darkness. Now, do you want to know who dug the well, the history of the well, whether it was dug specially to trap you, and whether anyone else has fallen into it before? These are questions for newspaper reporters to investigate. Your immediate concern is that you have fallen into the well. The important question is how do I get out? Similarly, understand how to get out of this world, which is anityam, impermanent, because it is conditioned by time. Therefore, no experience here can be permanent. Everything is constantly changing. In this realm of flux, now consider the word asukham. Notice the precision of the language employed in Hindu philosophy compared with some of the hasty expressions attributed to certain disciples of Buddha. I do not believe Buddha himself used these terms, but some of his followers declared everything is dukkhamayam. Everything is pain, 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 pain. But that is not the whole truth. If everything were only pain, neither you nor I would be here. We would all be hanging from the nearest tree. In the midst of this dukkha, there is also some sukha, now and then. Not much, perhaps, maybe 2 paisa worth of joy for every 98 paisa of sorrow. Yet there is some joy. It is like eating berries found by the roadside. Most are so sour, but occasionally one turns out to be sweet. You enjoy it, and it is worth enjoying. Before that, 4 were sour. After that, 4 were sour. But in between, one was sweet. Therefore, you do not say there is only dukkha. If there is some sukha, then why does the Gita describe the world as asukham? Because the sukha available in the world is never fully satisfactory. Joy exists, nobody claims otherwise. But that joy is not permanent and is therefore incomplete. It is this incompleteness of worldly happiness that ultimately makes life disappointing. Everything is anitya, impermanent. Even the joys I experience are fleeting. Before I can fully grasp and enjoy a moment of happiness, sorrow has already arrived. That is why the world does not say that the world is devoid of happiness. The Lord does not say that world is devoid of happiness. Bhajasvamam, seek me and turn your mind towards me. And that is the purpose of life. Acquire, possess, enjoy, and indulge. Who says you should not? But in and through all these experiences, your goal must be to ultimately reach the highest. मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः. Bhagavad Gita 9:34. Fix your mind on me, be devoted to me, sacrifice unto me, bow down to me. Thus, having united your whole being with me and taking me as the supreme goal, you shall surely come to me. This stanza under review is a beautiful summary of the entire chapter as it casts a beam of light over it and deepens the reader's understanding. We may even say that this stanza serves as a commentary on several earlier verses in the chapter, particularly verses 14 and 27. In concluding the chapter, the Lord points out that having arrived in this world of imperfect joys and impermanent experiences within the realm of time, seek me, that is all. But how are we to seek? By surrendering our identification with the body, mind, and intellect, BMI, and awakening to a higher state of consciousness. Thus, Bhagavan says, Manmana Bhava, turn your mind towards me with complete love and devotion. The Lord adds, Madbhakto Madhyaji, my devotee sacrifices his ego and egocentric desires for my sake. This sacrifice is not a loss but a surrender. Just as you willingly surrender the waking state to the overwhelming experience of the sleep, so too must the ego be surrendered in devotion. Finally, Mam Namaskuru. In this context, prostration is not merely a physical gesture, it implies complete identification with Him. True Namaskar is the surrender of the limited self into the infinite. When you remain steadfast in this process, you shall come to me alone. Mam eva eshyasi yuktva. Those who seek nothing but Him without any craving for OET and who take Him as their supreme goal are assured by Krishna. Turn your attention towards me and you shall reach me. Atmanam mat parayanaha. We are what we are because of our thoughts. If our thoughts are noble and divine, we become noble and divine. In brief, the evolution of the mind is the very essence of all spiritual growth and reformation. Neither our circumstances, nor our habits, nor the conditions to which we live, nor our past, nor even our present limitations can obstruct spiritual evolution. Constant awareness, diligently maintained, is the secret of success. Concluded. Next article, Living Vedanta 1, Part 1 by Param Puja, an article written by Param Puja Guruji Swami Tejomayanandaji. Puja Guruji Swami Tejomayanandaji delivered a series of discourses titled Living Vedanta in May 2016 in Nairobi, Kenya. We herewith present edited excerpts from these inspiring talks, compiled by Srimati Prarthana Sharan, President of Chinmay Mission, Delhi. The human body, a precious instrument. Why should one strive to live according to the wisdom of Vedanta? Most of us consider ourselves educated, intelligent, and well informed, conditioned by our school and university education. The mind convinces us that we are wise. Vedanta, however, invites us to examine that assumption. It tells us that we are not the body belongs to us. We can see and experience the body. The seer cannot be the seen. The knower cannot be the known. The logic is simple. Yet most of us have never looked at ourselves in this way. Ignorant of this knowledge, we spend our lives preoccupied with the body, constantly pampering and identifying with it. When students first encounter this teaching, some misunderstand it, having heard that they are not the body. They begin to neglect it. Others go to the opposite extreme and subject themselves to harsh so called spiritual disciplines such as excessive fasting or deprivation. Both attitudes are incorrect. When Vedanta says you are not the body, it is only negating your sense of identification with the body. It is not negating the existence of the body. In fact, Vedantic scriptures repeatedly emphasize how rare and precious the human body is. It is a wonderful gift from the Lord. Hinduism teaches that human birth is the result of countless lives of accumulated punya. If that language of spirituality does not appeal to you, then at least consider Darwin's perspective. The human body is the product of thousands of years of evolution. Therefore, the body should never be taken lightly. It must be cared for properly so that it remains healthy and and serves as an effective instrument for fulfilling our purpose in life. Indeed, it is the most precious gadget we possess, far more valuable than the latest cell phone, jewelry, property, or any other asset. We must learn the proper use of this extraordinary complex yet extraordinarily useful instrument. If you do not know how to use the latest car, it becomes useless to you. You may admire a beautiful car, but you do not mistake yourself for the car. Likewise, you may admire animals, but you do not imagine yourself to be one of them. In the same way, the body is useful, admirable, and purposeful, but it is not you, it belongs to you. Living beyond mere existence. Unfortunately, many people use this remarkable instrument merely for eating, drinking, sleeping, entertainment, and producing children. But we cannot survive caring for them. It is not simply an act of compassion. It is essential for our own survival. Yet, the modern world seems to have forgotten this basic truth. Extends beyond our immediate circle. Expand your heart to embrace a larger world, and that world will embrace you in return. The search for lasting love. A loveless life is a joyless life. In one way or other, Most of our efforts are driven by a desire for love, appreciation, and acceptance from others, ends in disappointment and misery. Why does this happen? Simply because we love the wrong things for the wrong reasons. We invest our love in objects and relationships that are subject to change, even in the even if the object of our the affection does not change. Our own mind changes, and what we once cherished can become a source of indifference or even aversion. Vedanta teaches us to look deeper when we recognize the Lord as the source of all beauty and attraction and find joy in His countless manifestations. Our love transforms. We no longer love merely a person or an object. We begin to love the divine embrace of the total, the yoga of inner balance. Life is full of ups and downs. The world of happiness is never even, it is an uneven path. The real skill lies not in controlling the world, it's in the law of karma. The body and mind of every individual are destined to encounter one difficulty or another according to past actions. The Bhagavad Gita advises us to endure them. Is yoga. The present difficulty will pass, but another challenge may arise. Thank the Lord that they come one after another, not all together. They manifest in time and disappear in time. Rather than becoming preoccupied with our problems, we should utilize the body for seva, jnana, and bhakti. As Gurudev would often remind us, never mind, but mind your mind. When sorrow comes, we can even be grateful that some effects of past misdeeds are being exhausted. The mind, our greatest instrument. Our perception, whether positive or negative, becomes our reality. The age of the cell phone has brought many conveniences, but it has also created a new kind of dependence. Everywhere we look, people are holding, checking, and guarding their devices. Before buying one, we carefully examine its features. But once we own it, we protect it from loss or damage. And yet, if we misplace it for even a few minutes, our entire world seems to collapse. Pause and reflect. If we are so concerned about a cell phone, how much more careful should we be about the condition of our mind? What happens if this delicate instrument become disturbed, polluted, or damaged? The mind is required for every action. Therefore, it deserves our greatest attention and care. The mechanism of bondage. The uniqueness of human life lies in the capacity to think. If that thinking becomes distorted, then a human being lives no differently from an animal. Puja Gurudev would humorously say, "It is only a pity that you do not have a tail." The mind alone is responsible for bondage and wisdom, freedom, for happiness and sorrow, for heaven and hell. and ultimately for liberation itself. How do we recognize bondage? Its symptoms are familiar: tension, anxiety, depression, and sorrow. What kind of thinking creates bondage? Vedanta answers clearly: Vishayasakti rupena manaha bandhanam. Attachment to objects binds the mind. Such is the nature of आसक्ति. आ सकती है तो जा भी सकती है. If it can come, it can go too. All attachments ultimately arise from the primary attachment to the body. Every desire centers around the body and its extensions. In Vedanta, the body includes not only the physical body but also the mind and intellect, which constitute the subtle body. Once we recognize that our suffering is rooted in our attachments, we can begin transforming them. We then learn to direct our attachments wisely, allowing them to become stepping stones towards freedom rather than chains of bondage. The charioteer within, the intellect, if not used properly, can become a source of self destruction. Thoughts arise continuously in the mind, but the intellect possesses the power of discrimination. It can determine whether a thought should be acted upon or rejected. This capacity is known as karya vivek, the ability to distinguish between what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. The regular and sincere chanting of the Gayatri Mantra helps strengthen and refine this faculty of discrimination. Arjun was confused only once, but most of us remain confused all the time. The moment we recognize that is Shiva Sankalpa, an auspicious thought. Returning home, the intellect must engage with the material world in the course of daily living, but it should never lose sight of its true destination. There is a humorous story. A grandson told his friend, a doctor advised my 60-year-old grandmother to walk 2 miles every day. Grandma took the advice seriously and began walking daily. How is your grandmother's exercise program going? Asked his friend. Very well, he quipped. She started walking 2 miles every day, and we don't know where she is now. The point is simple. We may travel far in the world, but we must remember to return home. Our true home is the awareness of Satchit Ananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss. Vedanta is a scientifically designated guide to right thinking. First, acquire the knowledge, then apply it intelligently according to the situation. This practical wisdom is called Paristhiti Jnana. Equally important is seeking guidance from the right source. Many people approach the wrong person for the wrong problem. Some even go to a Swami and ask whether he can locate their stolen goods. What is right or wrong for you cannot be decided in Parliament. It must be determined through discrimination, understanding, and wisdom. The immutable law of karma. Every physical and mental action inevitable produces a result. Some results are visible and immediate, others are unseen and unfold later. These are known as drashta and adrushta phalam, as adrushta and adrushta phalas. Nature records every action according to its motive and intention. This principle is poetically represented by Chitragupta, the hidden recorder. Chitragupta is the secret photographer of natural law. Understanding this principle helps us focus on what truly matters. There is little value in chasing random knowledge or asking questions such as which sadhana should I practice Swamiji so that the stock market rises? The purpose of spiritual knowledge is not to manipulate the world but to understand ourselves and live wisely with it. To be continued. Gita Panchamrit, 5 timeless principles for modern leadership. In an article by Param Puja Swami Sarupanandaji, in a thought provoking conversation on the People Blueprint podcast, Puja Swami Sarupananda explored the timeless relevance of the Bhagavad Gita in today's corporate world. On April 21, 2026, speaking with leadership strategist Shaila Vasan Singular, he explained how 5 key principles from the Gita offer practical guidance for navigating uncertainty, leadership pressure, workplace stress, and the search for purpose. The following article presents an excerpts from the five selected verses from the Bhagavad Gita, which Pujya Swamiji presented as a profound framework for self-mastery, resilience, purposeful action, and conscious leadership in most modern professional life. The Bhagavad Gita as a leadership playbook. Shailavasan Singular said, many readers today are reading the Bhagavad Gita, but people still feel it is complicated and difficult to apply practically. You mentioned earlier that there are 5 specific verses from the Bhagavad Gita that every person and especially every corporate leader should know. Why these 5 specifically? Swami Surupanandaji said, the Bhagavad Gita is one of the most practical handbooks ever written for leadership, crisis management, emotional resilience, and powerful living. So remember, Krishna did not teach the Gita in a cave or monastery. He taught it on a battlefield for a leader in crisis. Arjuna was not weak, he was highly accomplished, yet he collapsed mentally under pressure. Krishna did not magically change the external situation. He transformed Arjun's mindset through knowledge, wisdom, and the right attitude. And the moment it changed, Arjun not only attained victory but also achieved a success of great significance. He did not just make history, he made an epic. So, this knowledge is given to a person of action. The modern battlefield. We live in an age of unprecedented uncertainty. Careers shift overnight, industries transform within months, technology evolves faster than people can emotionally process, and a modern workplace often feels like a relentless cycle of targets, pressure, and performance. In such an environment, professionals across the world are asking deeper questions. How do we remain steady when everything around us is changing? How do we lead without burning out? How do we work intensely without becoming unworldly fragmented, inwardly fragmented? It is here that the Bhagavad Gita emerges not merely as an spiritual text but as one of the most profound manuals on human psychology, leadership, resilience, and purposeful action ever written. To truly understand the Gita in the modern corporate context, we must first understand how to view Sri Krishna. He should not be seen merely as a distant Godhead figure removed from worldly realities, but as one of the greatest leaders and strategists of his era, a statesperson whose influence shaped the geopolitical landscape of his time. He built alliances, protected kingdoms, guided leaders, and played a decisive role in the destiny of nations. Such was his stature that every kingdom sought him as an ally. What makes the Gita extraordinary in its setting? Its wisdom was not delivered in a monastery or a quiet retreat. It was taught on a battlefield to Arjun, a brilliant warrior, accomplished leader, and capable human being who suddenly found himself overwhelmed by confusion, anxiety, emotional collapse, and moral conflict. Standing in the middle of chaos, he no longer knew how to act. The modern corporate world is not different. Executives, managers, entrepreneurs, and professionals may not stand on literal battlefields, but many stand daily amidst pressure, uncertainty, conflicting loyalties, impossible expectations, and inner exhaustion. The Gita speaks directly into this condition, not by offering escape from life, but by teaching how to live in it with clarity and strength. The first battle is within. What is the first lesson in leadership according to the Gita? One of the first teachings Krishna gives Arjun is about self mastery. He says, Uddhared Atmanatmanam Natmanam Sadhayet Atmayava Yatmano Bandhuratmayava Vipuratmanaha. One should lift oneself by oneself. One should not lower oneself. The mind is verily one's friend. The mind is one's own enemy. This verse shifts responsibility inwards. Modern professionals often feel trapped by difficult bosses, unstable markets, demanding work cultures, or organizational politics. The tendency is to feel powerless. Yet Sri Krishna's language teachings teaching is uncompromising. Before attempting to change the world, learn to lead your own mind. Whatever your situation may be, physical, emotional, professional, or financial, the first responsibility is to say, I must lift myself. Everyone wants an easy way out, but transformation begins only when you are willing to apply your own effort, will, and intelligence. Then Krishna adds something equally important. Natmana mavasadayat. Do not look down upon yourself. Why do people lose confidence? Because they keep starting, they keep staring at the half empty cup. They focus endlessly on what is missing while ignoring what they already possess. They fail to recognize their own strengths, opportunities, and potential. The moment people begin condemning themselves, nobody values me, nobody listens to me, I can't do this, their energy collapses. The greatest battles are rarely external, they are internal. Fear, self doubt, anxiety, insecurity, and emotional reactivity. Emotional mastery matters more than positional authority. Self leadership precedes team leadership. Inner steadiness creates outer effectiveness. But Swamiji, let me challenge you here. Corporate life today is genuinely difficult. People face impossible targets, unsupporting management, and relentless pressure. Sometimes victimhood does not feel imaginary, it feels very real. So, what does this verse particularly mean when you can communicate intelligently? You can explain why certain expectations are impractical, and propose realistic alternatives. Leadership begins with composure, and composure requires another essential quality, listening. A good leader must first become a good listener. Listening does not mean pleasing everybody or agreeing with everybody. It means understanding clearly before responding. At the same time, organizations themselves must create healthier work cultures. Excessive pressure eventually reduces performance. The best organizations are not built through force or authority alone, they are built through inspiration. That's interesting because modern corporate life is so quarter to quarter. Financials, targets, reporting cycles, everything is immediate. How do you reconcile patience and long term culture building with relentless short term performance pressure? Through inspirational leadership. There is leadership through domination and there is leadership through inspiration. Force may produce short term compliance, but inspiration creates loyalty, creativity, and commitment. Look at great NGOs or spiritual organizations around the world. People work there with extraordinary dedication, not because someone is constantly threatening them, but because they feel inspired, and inspiration always begins with a personal example. Leaders must demonstrate the values they expect from others while remaining considerate towards their people. Profits are important. Nobody says business should run at a loss. But the moment profit becomes the sole objective, organizations lose the human touch. And once the human touch disappears, you lose the loyalty, dedication, and heart of your people. If teams feel connected to a larger purpose, and if leaders stand beside them, not merely above them, people willingly stretch themselves beyond ordinary limits. This is not motivational optimism, nor does it mean denying challenges or pretending difficulties do not exist. It means refusing to collapse psychologically under pressure. Leaders who remain inwardly composed become stabilizing forces for those around them. In every workplace, people naturally gravitate towards those who carry clarity among chaos. Ultimately, the one who masters the mind masters the world. Beautiful. And what is the next principle highlighted in the second verse of the Gita Panchamrit? Focus on action, not anxiety. The second verse shifts the focus from self mastery to the field of action itself. It is one of the most famous and misunderstood teachings of the Gita. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूर्मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि. Thy right is to work only, but never to its fruit. Let the fruit of action not be thy motive, nor let thy attachment be to inaction. People often interpret this verse superficially as work without caring about results. Naturally, modern professionals reject that idea immediately because business on outcomes. Businesses run on outcomes, targets, profits, and measurable performance. But Krishna is saying something extraordinarily practical. Look carefully at the word adhikara. It means your jurisdiction, your sphere of control. The Lord is pointing out a fundamental law of productivity. You have control only over your present action, not over the final outcome. The outcome depends not only on your effort but also on countless external variables beyond your control. Now think about what happens psychologically in the corporate world. While performing a task, part of the mind worries about future outcomes. Another part replays past failures, and truly little attention remains available for the actual execution itself. Anxiety fragments intelligence. The Gita therefore teaches total engagement in the present moment. High performance comes not from panic but from integration of attention. Modern psychology calls this the flow state, a condition where the mind becomes fully absorbed, focused, and highly efficient. Krishna articulated this thousands of years ago. Excellence emerges when Action is intense, but the mind remains inwardly calm. Ironically, detaching from anxiety often improves performance. And the final line is equally important. Mate sangha astu akarmani. Do not become attached to inaction just because you do not control the ultimate result does not mean you stop acting. Laziness, escapism, and withdrawal are not spirituality. The teaching is not passive, it is a call to work wholeheartedly while remaining psychologically free from crippling anxiety. You must work with total intensity but with a peaceful, unagitated mind. So, the teaching is not about being passive, it's about protecting execution from being sabotaged by anxiety. Exactly. Worrying about the result does not improve the result, it weakens present action. And there is another important insight here. Even if you do not achieve the exact outcome you wanted, right action still develops you internally. Suppose you worked sincerely, intelligently, and efficiently, but external conditions prevented the desired result. Most people immediately conclude, I failed. But the real gain may be far deeper than the immediate outcome. You develop confidence, you sharpen your skills, you discover your own capability, you realize I can perform under pressure. That itself is growth. Even failure changes meaning. Failure is not always defeat. Very often it is training. And perhaps this is one of the Gita's greatest lessons for modern professionals. High performance does not require inner turmoil. And what is the third verse that points to the next principle of the great leadership? The Gita takes the discussion even deeper by asking a profound question. What is the purpose behind your work? From success to significance, modern corporate life often creates a dangerous emptiness. People work hard, achieve goals, receive promotions, and yet feel internally exhausted and strangely unfulfilled. This happens because work becomes purely transactional. Salary, status, targets, quarterly numbers. The deeper dimension of contribution disappears. Shri Krishna therefore introduces another transformative principle. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushvamadarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, whatever you practice an austerity, O Kaunteya, do it as offering to me. Take a doctor. Medicine is naturally a service profession, but if a doctor begins start seeing patients merely as revenue, something essential is lost. Similarly, organizations suffer when employees are treated as productivity units and leadership is driven solely by targets and incentives. The moment people begin asking, how does my work genuinely help others? How does any contribution improve society? How does this organization create value beyond profit? Inspiration arises naturally. That is why purpose matters so deeply in leadership. Today, employees no longer seek compensation, they seek meaning, authenticity, contribution, and impact. And when Krishna uses the word me in this verse, it should not be interpreted narrowly as an individual deity sitting somewhere. It refers to the larger totality, the larger whole of existence. In a corporate context, you may refer to it as the organization's mission. At a national level, you may call it service to society. At the highest level, it is alignment with the larger order of life itself. The moment work becomes larger than the ego, human beings become energized. That's so true because the strongest organizations today are often purpose driven organizations. Exactly. The people feel connected to something meaningful. They willingly give their best. Profit matters, performance matters, but the moment profit becomes the sole objective, organizations lose the human spirit that sustains long term excellence. The greatest leaders therefore inspire rather than dominate. Faith in the larger order. When you explained the first three principles, they seemed very self oriented, but there are so many factors outside ourselves. How does the Panchamrit help us deal with these external complexities? Let me share a beautiful thought. खुद ही को करो इतना बुलंद कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछें बता तेरी रज़ा क्या है. Raise yourself to such greatness that before destiny is written, destiny itself asks what you desire. Remember one thing, God does not write your destiny. Our destiny is created by our own actions. So, can we actively change our destiny? Of course. If destiny were written by an external God, you could do nothing about it. Ours is the science of karma. Karma does not mean passive fate, it means action and its consequences. The law is simple, you reap what you sow. To understand this law, appreciate the intelligence behind it. Every law exists to sustain order. If you recognize that cosmic intelligence as God, arguments about my God and your God disappear. This universe is a cosmos and not a chaos. The same consciousness functioning through your mind and intellect is present everywhere. A famous couplet by the great poet and philosopher Allama Iqbal is this खुदी को कर इतना बुलंद खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे को से खुद पूछे, बता तेरी रजा क्या है. When you put forth your absolute best and remain fully committed, the universe seems to conspire in support of your efforts. This understanding brings us to the fourth principle, faith in the larger order of life. Human beings naturally seek certainty, yet no amount of planning can eliminate unpredictability. Markets shift, industries change, careers take unexpected turns, and crises emerge without warning. Krishna's point is not that difficulties will disappear, but that when we align ourselves with a larger purpose and contribute wholeheartedly to the whole, life often supports us in unexpected ways. Bhagavan says, Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paripasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. To those who worship me alone, thinking of no other, to those ever self-controlled, I provide what they need and preserve what they already possess. This verse is often mistaken for blind religion. In reality, it expresses a profound principle of life. Faith does not mean dogmatic belief, it means trust born of understanding and experience. Take a simple corporate example. A company pays you a salary and you work for it, but if you genuinely contribute to its growth and well being, you become invaluable to the organization. And even if one organization fails to recognize your worth, another eventually will. The same principle applies to life when people continually grow, contribute, and act with integrity. Opportunities begin to emerge naturally. When you work for your family, you do not feel that you are doing anyone a favor. The moment you start thinking, I am sacrificing so much for them, the spirit of oneness is lost. Likewise, when you recognize yourself as an integral part of the universe, your relationship with life changes. When you align with that order and perform your duties wholeheartedly, life brings you what you truly need. The words yoga and kshema are significant here. Yoga refers to gaining what is necessary for growth, while kshema means preserving what has already been gained. One of our deepest fears is losing our progress, but when the mind is anchored in a higher ideal, it remains protected even amidst life's uncertainties. Professionally, this translates into resilience in the face of adversity, patience amid uncertainty, and confidence amid ambiguity. Every major crisis appears catastrophic while we are inside it. Yet history shows that humanity endures. Looking back, we often discover that the very challenges we resisted became catalyst for growth. In the middle of a storm, we ask, why is this happening to me? Years later, we realize that the experience strengthened us, refined us, and prepared us for something greater. So, if I lift myself up, perform the right action, and dedicate my efforts to a larger purpose, life begins to align itself in support of that higher goal. Exactly. And when results arrive, learn to accept them intelligently. Whenever you face difficulty, ask not merely why did this happen, but what strength is this experience helping me develop? Necessity is often the mother of invention. Challenges reveal capacities we did not know we possessed. We have seen this resilience in our parents, grandparents, and especially our mothers. Storms came, yet they endured because they possessed strong values and simple faith. Some people collapse in storms, others grow through them. When the mind is anchored in a larger purpose, setbacks no longer psychologically destroy a person. This wisdom appears complicated only because we overanalyze it. In practice, it is remarkably simple. Half of me says this sounds too simple to work, while the other half says how practical it is. But what happens when things simply don't work out? When do you stop fighting? If you have truly given your best, you will receive the best. The challenge is that the best may not always look like what you wanted. That's the difficult part. I want what I want. You will receive what you need, though perhaps not in the form or timeline you expected. Even apparent failure does not mean the goal is unattainable. There is always more than one path to a destination. Real failure occurs when you label yourself a failure and give up. That is why the first principle, never putting yourself down, is so important. The highest success. And what is the capping leadership principle in the fifth verse of the Gita Panchamrit? Finally, the Gita culminates in one of its deepest teachings. Sarvadharman परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Abandoning all dharmas of the body, mind, and intellect, take refuge in me alone. I will liberate thee from all sins, grieve not. This verse is often interpreted purely in religious terms, but its psychological depth is extraordinary. Krishna points towards inner freedom, the dissolution of mental agitation, insecurity, confusion, and fear. The word papa here is often mistranslated as sin. In this context, it refers to agitation, fear, insecurity, confusion, and the inner fragmentation of the mind. Modern society defines success extremely externally by money, title, visibility, and influence. But the Gita repeatedly asks a deeper question: what is happening within you while you achieve all this? A person may possess enormous external success and yet remain inwardly restless, anxious, anxious and insecure and exhausted. Krishna is pointing toward inner freedom, the dissolution of mental agitation, and fear driven living. When individuals align their actions with their values, work with dedication, contribute to something larger than themselves, and stabilize their minds, a different quality of life emerges. Your capabilities naturally expand because your energy is no longer dissipated by inner conflict, and this inner stability transforms leadership completely. A leader who is inwardly secure listens better, makes clearer decisions, inspires trust, handles crisis calmly, and creates healthier organizational cultures. The highest success, therefore, is not merely external achievement, it is inner freedom, a timeless blueprint for modern life. The Bhagavad Gita is not a call to retire from life, but a call to rise in life. It is a practical handbook for living dynamically in the world while remaining rooted in wisdom. The battlefield of Kurukshetra is not merely a historical setting, it is the field of life upon which each one of us stands, facing challenges, conflicts, doubts, ambitions, fears, and responsibilities. The world's problems have not changed. Therefore, the Gita has not lost its relevance. Whenever the individual feels confused by life's demands, weakened by circumstances, or uncertain about the right course of action, the Lord's Song continues to offer guidance. Leaders today, as in many age, must confront uncertainty, conflict, competing priorities, difficult decisions, and the pressures of responsibility. Sri Krishna's teachings equip them with the inner poise, clarity of vision, and spirit of selfless action needed to manage these demands wisely. That is why this ancient dialogue, spoken on the battlefield, still resonates so powerfully in modern boardrooms, workplaces, and lives today. भक्तज्ञानप्रियं चिन्मयानन्दं Swami Siddhananda, an article by him. As part of Chinmay Ekadasha Koti Namajapa Yajna initiative, Chinmay Mission Mumbai organized an online satsang titled Bhaktajana Priyam Chinmayanandam Bhaktajana Priyam Chinmayanandam. Vandita Sadguru Narayanam by Swami Siddhananda on May 2, 2026. We present an edited version of the talk. Unfortunately, the melodious bhajans rendered by Swamiji, especially Narapujitam Narayanam, at the end of the satsang, cannot be captured in print. Dear Chinmay family members, Hari Om salutations, my love to all of you. Gurudev is turning 110 years old. I met him 54 years ago in 1972 and joined his mission and vision. At that time, Gurudev was 56 years old. We are all truly blessed to be with him even today. Most of the time we chant the Stottra namas of various deities and namavalis of our gurus without fully understanding the deeper meaning of each name. We ourselves are known by different names depending on the situation and relationship. At home, we may have one name, another at school, and yet another at the office. Different people call us by different names, but we remain the same person. Similarly, okay, Bhagavat Ashtotter Shata, these Bhagavat Ashtotter Shata Namas are different names of Bhagavan, each carrying profound meaning and representing a guna, a divine quality of Paramatma. In fact, one could speak for hours on a single nama of its significance. One, it may take months to complete the meaning of 108 names and years to fully unfold the depth of the 1008 names with detailed commentary. Narayana, path, goal, and shelter. Let us now take up one Nama of Pujya Gurudev, the 50th name in the Chinmaya Ashtottara Shatanamavalis. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Salutations to the one who is Lord Vishnu. The Guru is a manifestation of God. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Narayana is the Parabrahma, the Supreme Lord. What is the meaning of Narayana? In this name, Nara means human and Ayana means direction or goal. Thus, Narayana is the direction of the human being towards moksha prapti. He is the true GPS of life. Another interpretation is that Nara means human and Ayana means shelter. Thus, Narayana is the shelter of all human beings. The Narayan Upanishad says, Om Namo Narayana Mantro Pasaka Vaikuntha Bhuvanam Gamishyati. Whoever takes up the mantra Om Namo Narayanaya as their upasana will attain Vaikuntha, the divine abode. Why is it called Vaikuntha? Because there is no kuntitam, no sorrow there. There is no only Ananda. Narayana is the supreme reality and the very essence of everything. The Narayana Upanishad further declares that all gods, all rishis, all beings arise from Narayana and ultimately merge back into him. Narayana is the one God without a second, the eternal Lord. We too are a part of Narayana and our Ayana. Our direction and goal should be to merge with him, the inner bliss, the Brahman, the Supreme Purush. Glory to human birth. In Kerala, the Vaikom temple is one of the most important Shiva temples. It is situated about 20 miles from Ernakulam, the birthplace of our Gurudev. There is a beautiful Malayalam prayer addressed to Lord Shiva of Vaikom. As a human being, I took birth in this world, but now I am in the middle of the ocean of hell. Please help me climb to the shore beyond this suffering, O Shiva. And Naranarayana represents the eternal. And verse of Vivek Chodamani. Durlabhamatam, that the self in me is the self in all. Such liberation comes only through merits gathered over countless lifetimes lived wisely. From Narakam to Narayana. who make you. Krishna teaches Arjuna in the Gita. The um, form of Mahavishnu, radiant in all directions. I salute Lord Narasimha, the awe-inspiring man-lion incarnation, who is the very death of death itself. Through his teaching, Puja Gurudev removed fear from our lives. This is a debt we can never repay. We can only remember him, worship him, and live his teachings, just as Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya remembered his Guru in verse 486 of Vivek Chudamani. Namo Namaste Guruve Mahatmane, the best among the wise, the embodied bliss, infinite, and ever an ocean of by whose glance cool like a flood of moonbeams. The exhaustion caused by the afflictions of worldly existence is washed away, and in the moment the one attains the imperishable state of the self, the bliss infinite. The heart of Seva, Gurudev also taught us the greatness of human Seva. Be smiling, centered in Him who shines ever in your heart. Act honestly with endless love for the welfare and well being of all. Devoted to Narayan, serve the world. How then can Lakshmi be far away? You will always receive what you deserve, not merely what you desire. Therefore, first learn to deserve and then fulfill your purpose program of Seva. Naraseva is Narayan Seva. Worship all Nara Pujitam Narayanam. Help one another in the spirit of a Sevaka. Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. Narapujitam is Narayana Pujitam. That is why Gurudev is Bhakta Janapriyam, beloved of all devotees. He is Chinmayanandam, pure consciousness and supreme bliss. Vandita Sadgurum Narayanam. Our salutations to that Narayana, incarnate Sadguru. He represents all the Dashavataras. He has not gone anywhere. He lives in our hearts, in the hearts of all Bhakta Janas. On this auspicious occasion, I invoke the grace and of the Lord and the blessings of Pujya Gurudev upon all. Best wishes and prayers unto him our best. Narapujitam Narayanam, Narapujitam Narayanam. Bhaktajana Priyam Chinmayanandam, Vandita Sadgurum Narayanam. Chinmay Amrit Mahotsav, May June 26, when he came to meet us again. Chinmay Amrit Yatra, April, May. Yes. Long ago, when he came to meet us again, Brahmachari Sudhir Chaitanya, long ago in the sacred silence of the Himalayas, under the loving guidance of Swami Tapovan Maharaj, a young seeker immersed himself in the study and contemplation of Vedanta. There, he did not merely understand the great Mahavakyas, I am that, he realized it That transforming knowledge awakened in him not only the truth of the self but also a divine conviction that sharing this wisdom with humanity was his sacred mission. One day, while meditating on the banks of Mother Ganga, he felt her gentle command within his heart: go back to the plains, carry this eternal wisdom to the people, awaken them to their true nature. And so he came down, he unfolded the timeless wisdom of Vedanta. He brought the Bhagavad Gita from the shelves of scholars into the hearts of ordinary men and women. He ignited countless minds, he inspired millions. He became our beloved Puja Gurudev, and now he is coming to us again as Chinmay Mission celebrates its 75th year. Puja Gurudev is symbolically visiting every one of his centers through the Chinmay Amrit Yatra. As the name itself suggests, this is a journey of Amrit, the immortal legacy of Gurudev, the ideals he lived for, the values he stood for, the wisdom he shared, the knowledge that is eternal, that every Amrit is returning to us. That very Amrit is returning to us. A specially designed vehicle, a mobile temple, carries the sacred Murti of Puja Gurudev, along with treasured artifacts associated with his life and work. This holy yatra is traveling to Chinmay mission centers across the nation, bringing his presence to devotees everywhere. Accompanying the yatra are dedicated Yuvavirs who conduct classes based on Gita Panchamrut by October 23, 2026. This extraordinary yatra will have covered more than 35,000 km, traveling for 295 days across the sacred land of Bharat. It is a gentle reminder of all of us about his boundless compassion, about his immeasurable love for humanity. Why did Gurudev leave the peace of the Himalayas? Why did he willingly embrace leadership, hardship, and tireless work among people? Why did he dedicate every breath of his life to spreading this knowledge? And what is our role in carrying forward his vision? The Amrit Yatra is not merely another yatra, it is a lesson, reminder, and awakening and inspiration. It is Gurudev's loving call to each one of us to study, to reflect, to serve, and to live the wisdom of the Gita. May we open our hearts to receive His grace. May we become worthy instruments of His blessings. May His light guide us to guide our thoughts, words, and actions, and may the immortal message of Vedanta continue to shine through us for generations to come. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Om Shri Chinmay Sadguruve Namaha. Shri Sadgurunath